Welcome to the Stones of Strength podcast, an audio plinth upon which we will endeavor to centralize and showcase stories and information related to the lifting of historical and non-historical stones and the ongoing development and re-emergence of stone lifting culture. Welcome to episode 26 of the Stones of Strength podcast, where we had a very incredible and inspirational conversation with Nick Wintle and Fee Wintle-Star. And so Nick came onto our radar during Maximum Iron's stone lifting competition as someone who many people thought was the most inspirational stone lifter. So we kind of started to look into his story and realized his situation as a military veteran, as a combat veteran, as a strongman athlete, a stone lifter, and someone who is currently battling advanced liver cancer. And then we also started to understand a bit of Fee's story, as the two of them were seeking to go on a Scottish stone lifting tour as part of their honeymoon. And so we tried to figure out, someone who is contending with the things that Nick is contending with. Why is it that doing a stone lifting tour is so important to him? At the same time, it was going to be Fee's very first time lifting natural stone. And so seeing their videos coming out from the stone tour, the positivity, the unbelievable support that the two of them showed each other, we just thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to have them come on the podcast, share their experience, who they are, where they come from, and why it was that, considering where they are in life, why stone lifting was going to be such an important thing for them to do to celebrate the union of their two families. And sorry,
it's okay.
Don't want to get emotional.
Yeah.
When we were planning the podcast, we were supposed to record the episode multiple weeks ago. But because of Nick's immunotherapy, he fell very ill. He contracted meningitis, suffered heart failure, and was in the hospital for over a week. And he was very close to passing away. And as you'll understand, as you listen to this episode, the day he got out, he was squatting 600 pounds. Like, he was just right back at it. Yeah. But we were really bracing ourselves when we talked to these two for a discussion that might be quite dark and heavy. And it was the absolute opposite. It was lighthearted, fun, so encouraging and so inspiring to understand. Nick has dealt with a lot in his life, but so has Fee, and I think that's why together they're such a great team, and they're such an incredible support system for one another, and they are together so incredibly positive, and they use that positivity as a tool through which to overcome all of these unbelievable obstacles that they have done so far, but also the things that they're contending with and facing in the future. And it's one of these stories that it just helps you frame what it is that you're dealing with and inspires you to just pick yourself up and dust yourself off. Because like I said, the day Nick got out of the hospital, he was squatting. When we actually recorded the podcast, Nick and Fee had just come back from a 2-hour drive to go and have Nick's blood work done, because he was going to be doing his next round of chemo the very next day, but he wanted to make sure that he could get enough rest to wake up and work out beforehand. Unbelievable. Yeah. So cool. So
yeah, it was an amazing conversation, and they were a pleasure to talk to, and quite an inspirational duo, that's for sure, as you'll hear.
Something else we want to do, just to try to be able to bring forth all the really amazing teachings and experience that the collective of the stone lifting community has for the betterment of all veteran lifters and new lifters alike, and it's available on our Instagram page, is this collaborative series called the Stone Clinic, whereby we're going to be reaching out to the community and having people who are experts, experienced, or have innovative ways to lift stones, show everyone that technique so that we can all learn, grow, and advance together. And you don't want to hear it from us. We have limited experience. We very much know that, but we're going to try to reach out through our network and make sure that the right people are bringing forward this information so that we can all figure out how to do things that a lot of people have taken many, many years to master. So we're hoping that through this effort, we can help amalgamate a lot of that effort and centralize it so it's very easy for people to find and gain a lot of intelligence and know-how from in a very short period of time. So,
speaking of people with expertise, we just want to give a shout out to Chloe Brennan. If you haven't heard of Chloe Brennan, I'd be astounded, but check her out. She she kind of came in the spotlight a few years ago for lifting the Rogue replica Denny stones. And not just because it was a spectacular feat of strength, but the video, Chloe has an energy about her, and it really is captured in that video.
Yeah.
And she deserves recognition for so many things more than just the Denny stones. And she just recently did an official unassisted lift of the Denny stones in Scotland, and
which is amazing.
It's amazing. It's a very difficult feat.
Yeah.
And it's extraordinary to see. And she also was on Eddie Hall's podcast recently, and
The Good, the Bad, and the Beast.
Yeah, and I just want to give her a lot of credit because Eddie had misconstrued the Denny stones as manhood stones.
Yeah.
And she spoke up and she kind of cleared the air, so to speak, as not all stones are manhood stones and those ones are not. And that's one of the things that's very important with this community is there are some things that can be misconstrued.
Yeah.
There are some actions that are taken that are maybe not in the best interest of the stones. And, you and I both are not afraid to kind of speak out a little bit and correct is the wrong word, but maybe draw attention to way things can be done in a safer way for the history of the stones and the actual physical safety of the stones.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And that was just, again, circling back of Chloe standing up for the history of the stones in that circumstance, especially on a stage like with Eddie, right? There's going to be a lot of views there. And
well, it's a lot of bravado and a lot of energy and stuff. And Eddie was just trying to hype things up. And honestly,
he meant nothing by it.
No,
first of all,
she did a great job of in real time during the podcast correcting him and providing the context that there are a lot of manhood stones across Scotland. There are a lot of stones that are not manhood stones.
Yeah.
The Denny stones are not manhood stones. She helped provide more insight onto what the history is. Unfortunately, there was a clipped version of that dialogue that made it onto the Good and the Bad and the Beast Instagram page that was shared broadly. So I think a lot of people who only saw that missed that context. But regardless, she deserves credit for the fact that during the actual conversation, which is what people should look to when you're trying to gather facts and understand things, is actually look to the source. She corrected him, which is awesome. So good for her. Yeah.
Congrats on everything, Chloe. It's you're unreal.
Yep, the lift, the legacy, everything. She's an outstanding example of how people should look to mold a career and carry themselves in the strength community. So speaking about this incredible stone lifting community, on episode 26 here, we're happy to present to everybody. This is round 2 of our Community Corner segment, which actually has very quickly become our favorite segment of the podcast because it's the only other segment of the podcast. But it's just, I was looking today on the analytics for the podcast. I was curious to see sort of where the viewership comes from, understanding who listens, how we can better tailor this podcast to capture as many opinions as possible in line with this whole Community Corner concept, because there are incredibly prevalent and amazing communities in Scotland and England, in the Basque region, in Japan, a lot of these places that we've heard a lot of coverage from,
and we like to cover it too. Those are areas that, especially Scotland, we've made so many connections there. We've been there. We like to talk about it, but there's so much more than Scotland out there for stone lifting.
It's a big world, and there's so many small corners. And I was chuckling when I was looking. So in the past 90 days, about 15% of our viewership has come from Vietnam,
which isn't known for stone lifting.
It's not, but maybe it should be, which I'm saying, hey, anyone in Vietnam who's listening, if you have some stories about stone lifting in your community, historical stones, or you're trying to start your own stone lifting circuit, Joe, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. I've been to Vietnam. You've been to Vietnam.
Yeah.
We've both been there. So tell us.
And I was hypothesizing, where did this influx of Vietnamese listeners come from? Maybe it's because we had Tom, Bill, and John for a previous episode, and he was at one time known as Teacher Tom in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And maybe some of his disciples have followed him all the way from his English lessons in Vietnam to stone lifting. We'll never know, or maybe we will. Someone reach out. Vietnamese listeners.
If you haven't listened to that episode, it's fantastic. Tom is such an awesome guy.
He's such a great guy.
And brilliant too. Yeah. He's brilliant too.
Yeah. But the listenership for the podcast, it actually spans 80 countries, which is just
what the heck?
Mind blowing. And we think undeservedly so. We're a couple of dorks in front of a podcast having conversations with people that we really, really admire. But that just really sort of it really supports the idea that this community corner is something that we need to do. We're never going to be able to reach all corners of stone lifting, provide a platform for all the voices that we would like to, but this is a great way so that people can share their stories. And so for this iteration of Community Corner, we'd ask people to talk to us about their first lift. What was it about stone lifting that grabbed them? What inspired that first lift? Who were they with? Where were they? How did it feel? What was it about that first lift that really hooked them? So here we are with our Community Corner on people's first stone lifts.
Hey, it's Brian Clifford, Big Red Doc. I'm sure many people can say that they got involved in stone lifting because of Dr. Bill Crawford and Martin Jancic, kind of indirectly from the Stoneland documentary and their book. But I actually got involved because of the two of them, but more directly. So in like June of 2023, I think, I went and did a Highland Games clinic to try to learn how to throw in New Hampshire in the U.S. And I didn't realize until I got there that it was actually being run by Dr. Bill. So I spent the day there. He was a really good guy. I had some good conversations with him throughout the day. And then a couple months later, the organization that threw it emailed me and asked me to help with a triad event at Loon Mountain, hosting Moss Wrestling, actually. Told them I've never done Moss Wrestling, but they said it's okay. Just come and do it. And out of respect for Dr. Bill, I went up there to do it. While I was there on a break in between, Martin Jancic was actually there doing a triad event of stone lifting. So I went over there and was aware of him from the documentary. He gave me some instructions on how to lift stones. Jared from New England Stone Lifting was there helping him out, and I met him. But yeah, it just felt so cool and such a unique challenge of strength that I kind of fell in love with it and ended up meeting up with Jared like a week or two later down in Riverside to lift stones with him. And the rest is kind of New England Stone Lifting history.
This is Mark Johnson of the great nation of Minnesota. The first natural stone that I lifted was actually the Dinny stones. I'd gotten into the Highland Games and learned about them through that. I had a good deadlift and figured I could get them. And I did. I became the 118th Dinny stone lifter, and I was there with my family, Brett Nickel, and Levi of Smash and Pass was also attempting the stones that day. Great Scottish apparel company. They still make the shirts for the Donald Dinny Games today. And I also lifted the Puderex stone on that trip, which was pretty light, but that was, because I didn't really do stone training. I'd only lifted Atlas stones to that point. But outside our hotel, the Luab, I rediscovered the McGregor stone. And that's what got me into stone lifting, was I wanted to get strong enough to lift that stone. So I got some Atlas stones and then eventually some natural stones, and the rest is history.
Mike Fountain from Los Angeles, California, more specifically North Hills, California. So my journey started watching Strongest Man in History with Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw walking the Dinny Stones. And I was like, no one my size could ever do that. And then I came across Fergus Crawley's lift of the Dinny Stones, and I was like, well, he looks a little more my size. Maybe this is something I can do. So I bought all the implements and weights and started training for it with a lot of help from Stevie Shanks and Brett Nichols. And on May 7th, 2024, went out to Scotland and lifted the Dinnies successfully alongside Liam Brown and Luke Stone, and just absolutely loved it. Fell in love, and now I'm doing a lot more natural stone lifting. Have a lot of stones on the horizon that I'm going to try and get out there in 2028 and lift.
My name is Ronaldo. I'm originally from the Philippines, but now live in Queensland, Australia. And I was inspired to try stone lifting after having watched Martins Lisi's lift the Oddhaugen stone twice during the 2022 Arnold Strongman Classic. I got my chance to try stone lifting for the first time in a small river in the Philippines called Dinapak River. I was with my girlfriend and her little sister, and after having hiked a few hours, we went down to the river and tried lifting river stones. Now, these little river stones were about 30 kilograms or less, but lifting them demanded so much focus and attention that I was pretty much hooked. I knew and felt that there was a strength to be gotten by lifting stones. I took home my first stone that very day and have been lifting stones since. I love it.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Dylan Holmat. I'm from Virginia, United States. And the very first time I lifted a natural stone was when I went to see the birthplace of my parents in Suleymania, Kurdistan. Kurdistan is located in the Middle East south of Armenia, and in the city of Suleymania, there is a prominent mountain there that I hiked called Goyja. I had seen a stone on top of Mount Goyja that caught my eye. I said a prayer and brought it to chest height. To say the least, it was a very spiritual moment for me that I will carry forever.
Mark Jones, Hanson, Massachusetts, United States. So I got into stonelifting actually. My old boss is a local legend around here in New England in the Highland Games and stonelifting communities. I bought his house after he had retired, and he had left some stones here. In particular, he left a stone that he used to train for the Dreidfik stones in Iceland. He also left a stone that he had used to train for the Husafell stone as well. When I first discovered the stone that I ended up calling the troop stone, it was buried under a bunch of brush. And I actually wasn't strong enough to lift it from the ground, so I used to have to like prop it up on like a milk crate to get it higher so I could get a good pick on it. Stone's like 364 pounds. This stone was definitely probably my gateway into stone lifting. A year later, he had convinced me to do a stone lifting competition in New Hampshire in like 2024. And that's where I like linked up with all the guys from New England stone lifting. And yeah, man, the rest is history. I mean, I linked up with them and I've been addicted to lifting stones ever since. The connection to stone lifting is unmatched, along with the community. I've only known a lot of these guys for about 2 years, and some of them are my best friends now, all because of stone lifting.
Hey guys, my name is Ben. I live in Michigan, and I started lifting stones 2 years ago after my friend had sent me a reel of travel lift stones repeat. And I looked out in my front yard and I realized that there was a ring of stones around a maple tree. So I went out there, picked out a mid-sized rock I thought I could handle, stood up with it, and it felt good. I wouldn't say I was necessarily hooked at that point, but I was definitely interested. So I started going down the rabbit hole, listening to podcasts, following people on Instagram. And honestly, the thing that hooked me the most was listening to David Keown talk about his search for stones in Ireland and hearing the story of the stone by Liam O'Flaherty. So it has been a fun journey, definitely humbling, but that's how it all began. Thanks.
Hey guys, Sean Urquhart here, talking about my first ever stone lift. This was, God, it must have been, I think 2018 or so. Yeah, 2018. I was at a Highlander competition, which was half Highland Games, half Strongman in Fort Wayne, Indiana, put on by John O'Connor of Stout Barbell. And the competition had ended. He asked everybody to come over and give their best efforts to shoulder 2 of his stones, the smaller of which was about 265 pounds. And I lifted it on my first try and managed to get it on my shoulder, and I was instantly hooked. I went home, and for months, I could not stop thinking about stone lifting and just the desire to go find my own stones and pick them up. And months later, I went out into the woods behind my house, found the stone, rolled it all the way to my backyard, and the journey began. And that is my story of my first ever stone lift from Stout Barbell. Thank you, guys.
What's up, guys? This is Seth from Vermont. I hang out with the New England stone lifting guys, and that's actually how I ended up getting into stone lifting, was after seeing John lift on Instagram and being like, damn, that looks cool. I reached out to Jarrett, who was running a try-it in Massachusetts. Went out to the try-it, lifted some of the smaller stones, and then we went for a walk and went to Huck. And everybody kind of went out and lifted or tried to lift Huck, and I got wind under Huck that day, and I was like, oh, this is a different thing. Like, this is a really cool way, to challenge yourself and to, work towards something in this like really interesting training methodology, and that I wound up in Ireland shortly after that and lifted stones there, and I just really caught the bug, man. It was awesome. It's a totally different animal to any other kind of strength sport that I've participated in. So, But that's my story, and I, still thank and hang out with Jared all the time for introducing me and sort of shepherding that process.
My name's Thomas Wade. I've been lifting stones for about 8 years now with my wife, Hannah. Together, we've lifted the majority of the historic stones in Scotland, including a full unassisted lift by both of us with the Denny stones back in 2023. And we have both achieved full Starker status, carrying a full lap with the Huseful stone in Iceland back in August. So my first stone was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I had moved home and I had kind of set up a training area in my yard. And I remember going down to the creek by my house and I had found this piece of sandstone that was probably, I don't know, it was probably 3 feet by 2 feet. Not real thick, probably about 6 or 8 inches thick. And I remember getting it in my lap relatively easily, but because it was so wide, I didn't really have a good shelf to get it up there to press it. I remember just fighting it, and I finally got it up to my chest and got it to where I could try to press it over my head. And I got it about 3/4 of the way up, could not press it to save my life, but I could chest it pretty easily. Well, I ordered a scale off of Amazon, and I remember took it out there and weighed it. That stone was 290 pounds. So, I mean, it's not a surprise that I wasn't able to just press it on the first try. But I named that stone Fat Tanya after a unpleasant boss that I'd had years before at a previous job. But like that was really my first experience doing a natural stone. And I mean, even just with that one stone, I was already hooked, because just the challenge of figuring out where to put your hands and how to set it up in your lap and all that, that was really what got me hooked and got me started on getting into natural stone lifting.
Hi fellow stone lifters, I'm Mark Torrey from Forfar, Scotland. I would like to tell you about my first experience of stone lifting. Having seen Jamie McGregor on Instagram lifting stones, I decided to look for more information, which I found online. The first stone I lifted was the 99 kilo Sardlin Mare stone in the Smag Lane near Creeth. After I got there, I was surprised to see that they had cut down the trees surrounding the stone, so it looked nothing like the picture online, but was not disappointed as I really wanted to lift my first stone. Being inexperienced, I stood there for a while, not sure what I should be doing, but I had to go. Almost immediately I lifted the stone. The first thing I discovered was how rough the stone was, but that gives better grip. Up to my knees with a struggle, and then I stood up. The hardest part was getting the stone balance, which I discovered when it started to slide. Fortunately, I caught it before I had gone too far, and then balanced it on the mare. The achievement I felt afterwards was amazing. Man versus rock, in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. I was hooked, decided to look on the map again, chose more stones to visit, and I've been lifting stones for the last 5 years.
My name is Alex Burleson, and I'm from Utah in the United States. Just wanted to share my experience for when stone lifting actually clicked for me. Kind of had that magical moment with the bereaving stone in Scotland. Just the atmosphere there, the stillness of that place, the energy that that place holds and carries was just, really hard to explain. A lot of it was the atmosphere. You really lucked out with having a windy, cool, but sunny Scottish day. And just laying hands on that stone and being in that space, and hard to really put it into words. It's something that I think has to be experienced. And a lot of people, I'm sure, can resonate with that. But that was the moment that it all really, really clicked for me, and I've been kind of obsessed with it ever since. And on the subject of the bereaving stone, we've all seen the damage that has been done to it recently. Whether that was it being dropped onto the coffin or placed onto the coffin, which caused some damage to the stone, just kind of reiterates how much we need to protect these stones, and how much emphasis we need to put on caring for these stones so that future stonelifters can have the experience that I had and the experiences that many in the stonelifting community have had.
Well, thank you so much to everybody who contributed to this community corner. Please keep your eyes and ears out for the next iteration of this. We would love to hear from everybody. So if you're in Vietnam,
Please reach out.
If you don't follow us on Instagram, that doesn't matter. Send us an email. We'd be happy to link up and figure out what's going on. So, okay. On to our guests for episode 26 of the podcast. Just two unbelievably inspirational people who have rebounded and grown from hardships in their past, are so incredibly positive and resilient in how they're dealing with hardships of today, and as well as a unified team and support system for each other, are poised to deal with whatever hardships the future holds for them. And they're such a great example of how positivity can help you overcome all obstacles. And we thank them for the time that they did in a schedule that's filled with treatment and recovery. They set aside time to talk to us and share with the entire community their story. And so thank you so much, Nick and Fee. And without further ado, our guests for episode 26 of the podcast, Nick Wintle and Fee Wintle-Star. All right. Welcome to episode 26 of the Stones of Strength podcast, where we're very, very happy to be joined by Fee Wintle-Star and Nick Wintle. How are you two doing?
Not too bad. Thank you very much. You guys okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing well. And honestly, speaking of doing well, Nick, it's awesome that you're able to join us with this. I know a couple of weeks ago you were in a pretty rough spot health-wise. So, maybe let everyone know what was going on. And I mean, you've recovered to the point where you're throwing up huge weights again, which is unbelievable. But yeah, maybe you give people some context as to sort of what was happening in your life recently.
So I got diagnosed with advanced liver cancer about a year ago. And I've just started going through my cancer treatment, which is like immunotherapy. And I think that one of the side effects was I got sepsis, and then that followed on by meningitis. So then I was in the fetal position, feeling very sorry for myself for about a week.
I like how he's playing. I like how he's playing it down. He's playing it down. Nick nearly died 2 weeks ago. Let's be blunt here. Nick nearly died 2 weeks ago. We nearly lost him twice. Yeah.
My fever was really bad. I was at 45 degrees.
Boy. Yeah.
So I was
in a bad
really
place.
bad place.
Yeah.
None of the antibiotics were working. They were literally giving me bag after bag of antibiotics. None of them were working, unfortunately. So they were panicking.
Yeah.
They were literally
prepared for the worst. Nick's kind of was in and out of consciousness, and he had a couple of seizures. And I'm kind of just bedside watching this all unfold and trying to get answers, but the doctors are saying, well, we don't know what it is. We're just where you are. We're going to just pump all of the meds into him and hope for the best. And on day 7, they found the right antibiotic, and he started responding, and he kind of came out of it. And within 24 hours, decided to get out of bed and have a walk around the room.
Not a boy.
I know that the premise of the show is stones of strength and stones. But I mean, when you talk about being a rock, Fee, the way that you were able to maintain, at least what we could see through social media, I'm sure that there was a lot, there was clearly dark times you're going through, but to be able to shine through with so much positivity while you're watching someone you care for so much struggle like that takes a ton of courage. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was just because Nick was in and out of consciousness, and when he was conscious, I just wanted to give him, remind him of all the things that he loved and the community that was, the amount of messages. In fact, there was like over 300 messages direct to me, plus all the comments. Like there's hundreds of comments on each post. So to just be able to read them to him, these guys have said this and they're all rooting for you. Come on, you've got this. Don't be, and also don't be marrying me and 6 weeks later dying on me, because that's not fair.
No, it's not fair.
I mean, that's just an easy way out. It's not fair.
No, no.
That used to be at least 50 years. Come on.
We're saying you don't
Yeah,
take the
exactly.
out.
Well, you have
Yeah.
lots more stone lifting adventures in your future for sure, and that's something we'll get to a bit later in the episode. But number one, obviously, congratulations on your wedding, and then for people who don't know, one of the really cool things we want to talk to you guys about is the fact that Nick, you have all of these health concerns, and you have a storied career as a strength athlete, and Fee, you're well entrenched in the strength world as well. But you picked stone lifting as the way to celebrate this union between your two families. Like that was pretty outstanding. It was definitely one of the things that we're like, we gotta peel back the layers on this story. So in order to do that, maybe let's start at the beginning. We'll start with you, Nick, as a young man growing up. Where did you get introduced to sports and then strength sports, and then kind of find yourself embedded in the world of strongman?
So I was in the army for 17 years. I was in the Grenadier Guards, so I was one of the Queen's Guardsmen when Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II was in reign before she passed away. So I did 17 years guarding the Queen. And then on the flip side of that, I'd go to Afghanistan, or I went to Iraq. I went to Afghan 3 times, went to Iraq twice. And in your downtime, if you do get in it, you'll train in it, whether it's pickets, using 6-foot pickets and wiring them together, or you got makeshift benches, or you're just picking up jerry cans and throwing them around. We would literally use anything to sort of improvise the gym within our situations or locations. And I think my love of strength probably came on from that, the first Iraq tour, where we started doing that sort of thing. And then I got really badly injured towards the end of my career, and it's one of the reasons why I got medically discharged. And I had a really bad back injury, so my back was it just wasn't working, and I would find it hard to walk. My gait was, just not very good, and I would use a walking stick, and I was having the steroid injections. I was taking a lot of medication, which I didn't really like taking because opiates are horrible, and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. They are.
And so then I watched that documentary, the Eddie Hall one that was on Netflix, literally the really low budget Eddie Hall documentary. And I was like, sat with a walking stick thinking, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna actually do that. So then I was discharged from the army. I had tons of time. I didn't really have a passion. So then I just started with walking, and then from there I started building up to doing the bench press, and then I started building those foundations to start lifting, and then I started getting my flair back for what I had when I was in the army with weights and lifting heavy things. Then I thought, I can maybe do this a bit more heavier than I did in the army, and then I progressed from there, and then I set myself a goal, and I watched another documentary on the road documentary about the Dinny Stones.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm picking them up, and that was my like Mount Everest of lifting things. So I set myself the goal, and I did it. Smashed it. Yeah.
I watched you do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much time between when you were discharged and had those mobility issues to lifting the Dinny Stones are we talking? Because, I mean, the Dinny Stones are an incredible feat of strength for anyone who's fully able-bodied, but to be able to build yourself back up from near immobility to do that, that's incredible.
Yeah, so I'd probably say it was around 2 years, and then I met Fee towards the end when I was actually in the initial prep of getting ready for the Stones. Yeah. And you supported me, didn't you? 100%. And then with that, somebody believing in me sort of gave me that Superman strength, if you like. That I did basically want to not impress this girl that I've just started dating, go all the way.
Yeah, that's fair.
And not lift the Dinny Stones, because there was a few people there that lifted them.
Yeah, there were.
And that would have been an awkward drive home, I
That would have
think.
been a very quiet journey home, wouldn't it? If you got
We might not be sitting here with both of you today.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're glad you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like the stone. I started looking at all the stories behind the stone lifting, and I just like the old Scottish stories about these people that didn't have supplements and bad diets, and they're lifting up these ridiculous stones that they shouldn't be able to lift to just prove a point, really. To become a man or to become an adult, or become the King's Guards, that sort of thing. I love that sort of stuff,
It's interesting because there's a very strong parallel between in the military, you sort of just doing what you could with what was around you to be able to be strong, because being strong was critical to your survival, similar to these people in, you know, ancient times in Scotland, as we're speaking about, where being strong was an aspect of your life and it was an important aspect of your life. So really you kind of lived a fairly parallel path to that and kind of culminated in the Dinny Stone lift.
Yeah, I didn't want to be remembered like to people that knew me as the bloke who got medically discharged because of his mobility issues. You know, I wanted to prove that with somebody believing in you and grit and will, that you can fight through these things. You see these amazing athletes who've got one limb or they're massively immobilized mobility wise, and they're lifting up an Atlas stone from one platform to another. You know, I just love that sort of stuff. Just mental strength, I think, a lot of it. Mental resilience, I'd probably say. Probably the better word.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, Fee, what was a young Fee Star's relationship like with athletics up to the point where you met this gentleman who was going to lift these giant rocks for some strange reason?
So, my childhood was basically running. I was like the county champion long distance runner. I've ran marathons, half marathons. And then I needed to get super fit because when I turned 40, I just decided I might like to be a firefighter, you know, just as you do.
I hear you. That's what I do.
And the tests for that are pretty insane. Right. And so here I was at 40, kind of just wanting to prove a point. And I'd got the cardio, but I hadn't got the strength. And you need a lot of strength if you're dragging an 18-stone man out of a building, you know. So then I started kind of, you know, getting into kind of not really weightlifting, but kind of strength issues and, you know, learning what to do. And then unfortunately doing a charity event, it was like a Ninja Warrior course to raise money for a local hospice. My left leg went down a rabbit hole. And I spectacularly broke my leg.
Oh, no. Shivers.
Yeah, and I was in my first year. I got into the fire service, but it was in my first year. I then had to resign because I'm just not medically fit to do the job. So I was gutted. But on the back of that, I still carried on training. So I then met Nick, and kind of he introduced me to this world of strongman training, and it had gone suddenly from like cardio and, you know, building a bit of muscle to just be all about eating lots of food and shifting lots of weight. And the adrenaline, like the buzz that I got off that, I just wanted to do it more and more and more. And yeah, just, you know, Nick had that. It's like what Nick was saying before. If you've got somebody there that believes that you can do something, that's pushing you can do this. You can lift more than that. You know, I'd only ever really lifted like 40 kg, hadn't I? And Nick's like, you're strong. Like, you were in the fire service. You're really fit. And I'm 5 foot nothing. But he had that belief in me. He said, but you can lift more. And now, like, I think my top is like 120, isn't it? But I would never have even approached trying to lift weights like that or putting logs above my head. And then, then kind of watching him lift the Dinny Stones and then kind of researching and watching other people lift the Dinny Stones, especially girls as well, thinking...
Chloe Brennan.
Chloe Brennan's. And I was thinking...
Incredible.
I want me some of that, you know. I might have a go at that. And so when we decided this is what we're going to do for the honeymoon, I said, you know, I'll do it too. We won't just do a honeymoon where I'm watching you. We'll see if I can actually manage to do it. I might not be able to, but let's see where we go.
Yeah, you do, and I'm proud of you for doing that. That's jumping into the deep end, really. I think, you know.
It's very weird, though, isn't it? Lifting stones.
It is kind weird. It's wonderful.
When you tell people what you're doing, they're like, "Why?"
Why? That's my question to you, Fee. When you found out from Nick that he was trained to lift these 2 massive ring stones, was your initial reaction why? And then how long did it take from it being like, "Why are you doing this?" to "I really want to see you do this"?
I made you watch the docs, didn't I?
Yeah, I sat and watched the documentary. Yeah, great couple of first dates they were, weren't they? It was I've kind of really, I like my history as well. I love history, and I kind of was really fascinated by it. What is that? He said, "Oh, do you know about the Dinny stones?" No, what are these stones? And so when I looked, I was like, "How are you going to lift those? That's crazy. What? That's heavy stuff." And then realizing that not many people really, since the beginning of people lifting them, had actually managed to do it. I was like, this is quite impressive. So I just said, we've not been dating that long, had we? And I was like, can I come with you? Like, I'd really like to see this. And so then Nick's like, oh, great, I really got to lift them now,
That puts the pressure
It's
on.
a 7-hour car ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
But actually,
on the same day, I did the 7 hours and then
I
went
know
straight.
you literally drove there for 7 hours and then he lifted it after a 7-hour car journey. But it was that car journey that we joke about it now. If you can drive 7 hours to Scotland with somebody and still like them at the end, I think it's a pretty good indicator that you're going to be all right in life together,
Especially like in a high stakes, high pressure situation. Yeah.
Especially British roads.
Something we learned.
And the traffic. Oh, the traffic. Yeah, the M6. Oh, no.
We literally had about 4.
Yeah, we were really running low on time. Where we were thinking, oh, we're not going to make it. So we arrived with like 30 minutes for you literally to get out the car, go to the loo, and then get ready and prep. But maybe that was a good thing because you just not got time to think. You're just like, right, this is it. We're there. We've got to do it.
Ready to the zone. Yeah.
What lifter number were you, Nick, of the Dinny Stones? We can see your certificate up there above your head.
Yeah, 272 I was.
Nice. Okay. So would that have been 2024 or 23?
272 was I was.
Yeah, sorry, which year was that? What year did you do it in?
2024.
2024, yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Was it 23 or 24?
It's a nice old look on there. 23. November 23.
Nice.
It's interesting, like you talk about that 7-hour car drive as a good proving ground as to whether or not you're going to get along. But do you think that there was any part to play in the fact that you were both sort of in this phase of physical rebuilding? So Nick, obviously you regaining your mobility, and then Fee, you're sort of trying to find a new avenue for strength after that. Like, honestly, that's a really shitty way to get an injury at a charity event, that kind of thing. Like,
It was awful. But I forgot to mention after that, something even worse happened. It's coming up to my 3-year anniversary I had a stroke. I couldn't speak, I couldn't see, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. It was horrendous, yeah. So I had a small blood clot and it was the left side of my body. And I didn't know if I was ever going to walk again, to be honest. I had to have speech therapy, physiotherapy. And like, to look at me now, you wouldn't know. But that was a lot of determination to get myself back up. Yeah. Stroke anniversary, I call it. Stroke anniversary. Yeah. It's hard. It's like, it's one of those things that, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I look after myself, I exercise, and then you're like, what? This isn't fair,
Right.
You lie in a hospital bed in intensive care, and it was horrendous. But I worked really, really hard, and I think Nick and I are very similar in when a doctor says the worst case scenario, you're like, no, that's not going to happen. Actually, I'm not.
Good. Yeah.
So I'm not going to. They're saying, well, you need to take things easy, and you need to, do this. I'm like, no. I'm going to do what my body says. I'm not going to go by what the general thing should
we had
be.
fire in our bellies still, didn't we? And we had it.
I think it's if you've got that attitude sometimes. I'm obviously not saying that. Obviously, every story is different. Everybody's story is different. Stroke, cancer. But I think if you've got somebody behind you pushing you to do well, if you've got it in yourself that you're not going to give up and sit there and listen to what other people are telling you what your life's going to pan out to be, and if you give it your all, then things will be better and can be better. It's not going to work for everybody, but
it doesn't mean lifting feats of strength. It could be anything from just improving mobility to improving mental health. It could be anything like that, really, can't it?
Yeah, I think you've got to try.
In your situation, I think.
And life is so incredibly short that I think it's too short to be sitting around feeling sorry for yourself.
Well, those can turn into a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy too, right? If a doctor says, hey, you might never walk again, then you get that in your head. You're telling people they say I might never walk again. It becomes a psychological loop that is very difficult for some people to break out of. And the fact that you both have not let that kind of stop you in any way is a huge testament. And I think that's the way everybody should really attack these is you can never focus on worst case scenario. You focus on day by day and you push it. And you have so much more control over your physical health than people I think maybe even realize.
Yeah, I think so. It's really difficult. I think the dark side of that is when something happens like Nick's cancer or my stroke, you have people with really good intentions that is not helpful. Like, oh, my auntie had a stroke, she never walked again. And, you know, so maybe invest in a mobility scooter. Or people say, oh, my uncle had the cancer that you've got, Nick, you know, and he was gone within the year, you know. We don't need this.
I think people mean well and try and find a way to relate, but it's like a foot meat mouth thing after they say that, right? Like,
Like, oh, that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. That's brilliant.
You can't focus on that.
That's more determined to prove people wrong, doesn't it? I
Especially
think we both have that stubbornness in wanting to prove people wrong.
Yeah.
That's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I think what people sometimes they get into this, you know, like David said, the psychological loop or the spiral because they think of what they're unable to do or what's been taken away from them versus focusing on the things that you can do, right? We've seen a lot of people in the Stonelifting community getting injuries lately, and they're finding creative ways to try to move past that so they can at least do something and continue to build strength in one avenue, because it is very easy to sort of pity yourself and just completely shut down all efforts because you're comparing what your prospects are to what you had done previously.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it can happen to anyone. Anyone can get into that, like you said, that loop of feeling really sorry for yourself. And I think anybody can get into that loop because we're all human and we're all just trying to get forward. But I think if you've got people that are around you that are supportive or a community that's quite supportive, then
the community are amazing.
Just listen to them, you know.
Stonelifting community, the strongman community.
Yeah.
They're all amazing. Actually, you know, my background is working with children and families, so I have a big following from kind of my working with parents, and they've kind of adopted you as well, haven't they? So to have that community, to have that kind of people always wanting the best for you, I think it just drives you to do better. It drives you to want to do good and share that positivity.
Yeah, definitely.
That's important to us both, isn't it? To share that positivity. Although somebody once did say to me that we are way too positive.
Maybe for them, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that's more of that's more of a commentary on who they are as a person versus who you are as people. So,
or should we just tone it down a bit, be a bit more miserable?
Yeah.
No, exactly. There's enough of that in the world.
Yeah, there is.
Especially, there's enough of that in the world for people who have, you know, the yellow brick road laid in front of them. But for you two who have gone through adversity and are staring down continued, you know, trials and tribulations, to maintain positivity, that sets the benchmark for everyone else to say, listen, you may have things you're contending with in your day-to-day life, but you can see through the darkness, and actually you project that out onto the world, and it will come back to you as well. Like you said, like you're both so incredibly positive, and the community has sort of reflected that back, because when Maximum Iron had their stonelifting competition for the Stonelifting Awards, like when we were looking at most inspirational lifter, like it was Nick Wintle. And we're like, who is this guy? So we go over and check your page, and we're like, yeah, sounds about right. Like, can we just sign it and seal it and send it off already? Because people resonate with that, right? When they see people going through adversity and then just coming out on the other side.
It's inspirational.
So, yeah.
Like, there's no other word for it, right? It's very, very inspirational stuff.
This is maybe a question for you, Fee. So, you know, on your path recovering from sort of, now we understand, a stroke and your leg break, and maybe this was, you know, when you start to work out with Nick, at what point did it go from being, I want to just sort of regain full function of my physical body, to I'm going to push myself and achieve extensive strength that I never thought possible?
I think it was somebody telling me that I can't do it. So I've had consultations after having a stroke. So you shouldn't really go back to lifting the weight that you were lifting before. You should, you really should probably take things easy now. You know, I'm 51 now. It's like, oh, you should slow down. Hell no, life begins now. You know, when you have that close call with death, I think, which is what it was,
Sure.
I want to do all of the stuff, and I want to prove myself and prove to other people, I guess, prove to other women, prove to people of a certain age that it's just a number and that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I mean, obviously you can't just go out and start lifting really heavy stuff. That's not advisable. But by building up just slowly and have that in your mind what you want to do. I want to be able to, I think what I said to you was, I want to be able to lift 100 one day, but I can't ever see that happening. And it was like, but why? If you put the work in, you put the time in, and you eat right, and you rest right, and you train right, then you will be able to do it. And I did that within a year.
Yeah, you didn't
Within
mind.
a year of having a stroke, I lifted 100. And I should have been within a year probably just walking properly and being able to talk properly again. But I'd gone way past that, to the point where I went to see, she came to my neurology appointment with me, and I walked in and the neurologist was like, what? I was like, hello. Here I am. She's like, you're talking really well. I was like, yeah, I'm lifting again as well. She's like, oh, okay. But she was just blown away, and she says, well, what have you been doing? And I said, I've just been in the gym. I just keep going. And I think the other side of that could have been if I had not met Nick and had someone pushing me. And, the kids, I've got two amazing kids. We've got, you've got a daughter as well. But, for my kids to see me at my lowest and my worst, and they were terrified, I wanted to prove to them that Mum's still strong. I'm still here. I can do this. And it's really impressed them, haven't they? They were really impressed. And I think that's, I don't know. Yeah. Just to prove that I can do it. Stubbornness as well. We've said that already about being stubborn. I am stubborn.
Yeah, it's a good thing in some ways.
Well, what a great way to be, because all too often I think the prescription for something is being more sedentary, and I couldn't disagree with it more, and clearly you couldn't disagree with it more either. That our bodies are meant to be used, and you really demonstrated that with your recovery. It's incredible.
Definitely. Should be proud of yourself.
Thank you. Aren't you?
Yeah.
We're just all patting each other in the back. Well done.
It's good. That's, I mean, you're each other's support system, right? Like that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kids too. The kids are amazing, aren't they? They're always championing us. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Not to sort of take it to a dark place, but I know a lot of people say the whole thing where, you don't know what you have until it's gone, and life is too short and you never want to leave this world having regrets. After you had that brush with death, did you sort of do a mental inventory and then Nick, I mean, this is, you had a similar experience, unfortunately, just 2 weeks ago. Did you do sort of this mental inventory to say, okay, I spent far too much time on this or listening to negativity and the barriers other people were putting up for me or perceived that I would run into. Now that I have this sort of renewed lease on life, these are the things that I'm going to prioritize. This is where my focus is going to be.
Yeah, I think avoiding negativity was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think avoiding negative comments kind of just, it's made you more determined to kick cancer's ass now.
It's like the stuff that you said, you've been away on operations, like the 3 times in Afghan was really on the front line as an infantry soldier,
You were blown up. He
So I
was
was
blown up as well.
with my platoon commander and shot out every day, and I'd always be that guy that would smile in a contact, I'd always look at my mate and smile, and they'd be like, you're off, you're not, mate. But I'd be like, I'm not. I'm just trying to bring the mood in. I literally rolled over and had a piss in the middle of a contact. I went into the dead ground. I was holding this wee in all night, so we was waiting, and it all kicks off in the morning. Like, we were in this firefight with the Taliban, and I literally said to my commander at the time, I was like, I need the toilet. And he was like, you are taking the piss. And I went, yeah,
Literally.
I literally need the piss. Like, so I rolled over, I got in the dead ground, had this wee.
Bullets flying over
Literally
his head.
bullets, like rounds flying over. I turned round at my mate, smiled at him, he just shook his head, and then I obviously sorted myself out and got back in the firefight and cracked on.
That weapon away and pick out the real one. Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Like when
yeah,
he
that's
was
wild, man.
in hospital, so kind of on day 9 when he was starting to come back to the world, and he kind of looked at me and he was smiling. He got that cheeky smile, and that's when I knew that he was back in the game. You know, he smiled. He went, "I don't suppose tomorrow you could bring me my like exercise bands, could you?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not." But why? It's really good. I was like, no, absolutely not. And that was my kind of, there he is, he's back.
He's back here.
And I kind of went, you know, that was close there, you know. Yeah.
Just warn the nurses that if they come in and he's doing like extensions with his IV tube, that you got to remind him about the rest.
Lifted it up.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so predating, you know, the health scare a couple weeks ago, and I don't mean to make light of it saying it was a scare, because it was a very serious situation, but one of the things that really brought the both of you onto our radar is understanding that you have this amazing relationship built up around strength, and that, you know, Nick, understanding your diagnosis with the liver cancer, it really kind of touched both of us, the fact that of all of the things you could do on a honeymoon to celebrate your health in advance of going through treatment, the union of your two families, you know, instead of laying on a beach or going sightseeing or going to the Eiffel Tower, all these other things, you picked a stone lifting tour in Scotland with the goal to lift the Inver Stone. Like, how did that come around? And was it like a mutual goal, or was there some convincing that had to happen on one side or the other?
It was you, because I wanted the Husfeld stone because I wanted to go and lift that.
Yeah, so I always knew that he wanted to lift the Husfeld stone in Iceland. So I looked into it. It was kind of was going to say, let's do that for a honeymoon. I was going to surprise him. But as anyone will know, going through cancer treatment, the insurance for travel is insane. Yeah. There is just you can't travel. And I think it's not just the insurance, it's things can go wrong very quickly, as they did 2 weeks ago. And it's better to be close to your in your country or within distance of the team that are looking after you, really. So I suggested to Nick, we can't, you know, we're not normal. Let's not do a normal honeymoon. What would you think about going on a stone lifting honeymoon tour? Well, he was really happy.
Yeah.
He's like, this is amazing. And then you've got all your stone lifting buddies and strongman buddies going, wow, you got a good one there. I can't ever imagine my wife saying, would you like to go stone lifting in Scotland? Yeah. But, you know, Scotland is beautiful. I love, we both love Scotland.
Yeah.
And from going to see the Dinny Stones, it's such a beautiful place. And, and kind of we started looking at the map, didn't we? Kind of start plotting what we were going to do. We did have one romantic night because we went to Edinburgh first. And we had a nice night, and we went to the Ivy, didn't we?
We had a nice meal.
We had a nice meal, stayed in a hotel. That was it. Then it was stone lifting, back into our trackies and kit. And you know, my lovely wedding nails were kind of shredded by the end, weren't they? They were just like these beautiful nails I'd had done were just like, But we hired a place in Scotland, a really beautiful kind of Airbnb, and
in Stirling, wasn't it?
Yeah, in Stirling.
By the Wallace Monument.
And it had a hot tub. Best investment ever, because we'd come back, you know, and then jump into the hot tub. It was good.
Yeah.
Really good. But even
I knew about the Inver Stone because of Bill Casmore, you know, doing the press on the stone.
Yeah.
And I always liked I mean, I don't know how he pressed that. That's ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's amazing feat of strength he had there, Kaz. But going back to the Inver Stone, I knew that was one of the stones in the UK that I really wanted after the Dinny Stones. That was the one. And it was just such a far way to go, you know. But we just invested in the
That was
idea,
actually
wasn't it?
quite a funny journey because we were going to leave it till the last day, weren't we? But then we saw the weather was closing in a bit, so we did it to kind of the second to last day, and and you obviously have to get permission. So we'd emailed and they said, yeah, you know, the centre, the centre's not open, but it's there, and you know, thanks for asking to lift. That's absolutely fine. We'll put you in the book after, you know, if you successfully lift, and send us a picture. He said, but the road might be closed because of snow. Well, at the time, it was like really sunny, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was sunny in Staffordshire.
We're like, oh, yeah, I can't imagine a road being closed. So we set off on this journey, which is absolutely beautiful. We've got our snacks, haven't we, and our drinks, and we're having a nice little...
About 2 hours from Stirling, I think.
Yeah, so a nice little... And as we start to get closer to the destination, the side of the road is like snowdrifts. Now, Nick's in his shorts. I've got no jumper. I'm like... I think we've underestimated Scotland here.
Yeah.
And then we start getting closer and closer. And then
seeing all these crowds
and then
of
I see
people.
this sign for like ski hire, and I'm like, what was this? Ski hire? You drive through a ski village and there's people all dressed up and they're skiing down the mountains, and there's Nick in his shorts.
Yeah, they're all like kitted up.
We are so underprepared. We managed to get there. The road wasn't closed.
No.
And then as we turned up, there was a really lovely two ladies, weren't there? She's like, are you going to lift it? And I said, oh yeah, he is attempting to lift it. And I kind of told them the story. And she said, oh, you're not going to believe this. The lady that I'm travelling with, it was her grandma's house where the stone used to live.
Where the Inver Stone used
to live. What's the chances of that? That's so freaky, isn't it? She was like, yeah, that used to be, grandma had died. And she said, but that stone used to be outside.
June Richards.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Richards, yeah.
So she said, oh, great, can we watch? And I was like, yeah. And then they sponsored us as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
and now they've started following us on Instagram, and it's just like really nice.
She sent you a message when I was ill.
She did, yeah. She was saying when you were okay. But they were crying, weren't they, when you lifted it? Because I told them about, you know, the journey and everything. Sure. And it's just like, that's kind of the power of the stone, isn't it? How amazing is that? You know, the history behind that stone and how it was all connected.
I like the Inver Stone, actually. I really liked lifting it. It was one of them stones that I spoke to Brett Nicol about it, and I was asking him how did it feel? Was it smooth? Was it a rough stone? And when he told me it was a rough stone, I thought, well, I've got something to play with now, because I was thinking if it's smooth. I tried picking a stone up in Wales and I barely got it off the ground. It was the Cricket stone. It was 177.
Yeah, that thing is ridiculous.
That's a terrifying stone. That's like that. Yeah.
Get the final boss.
Yeah.
So I don't know how people lap that, because I don't know, because it's amazing. But I tried so many different ways, and I got it. I got the wind beneath the stone, but barely. And I mean barely. And that stone, there was just nothing to hold on to. There was nothing there.
You were getting so cross.
I was getting so angry with it. I was like, this has never happened before.
He's like, just one more go. Just one more go. You did. You got it. You got the wind beneath, didn't you? Because they're really not. The guy was watching. He was lying on the floor, making sure
with his phone. And I was like,
he's watching his face. I've got to make sure it has to be the wind beneath. You know, I've got to make sure you do it right. And you were at the end. You were absolutely blowing, weren't you? He was like, I'm so knackered, but we've come all this way. I've got to do it. I was like, come on.
Yeah. but I am going to lap that stone. That is something that is going to happen.
You want to get it higher, don't you? So go back.
I do.
But that was awful.
That's serious one. That's probably like one of the hardest I've lifted ever.
It's when the t-shirt came off, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, to turn up looking like quite smart and clean, and then by the end of it, it looked like I'd been dragged for a bush. I was absolutely getting chalk everywhere.
Yeah, just angry.
When did you go after the Cricket Stone? When did you attempt the Cricket Stone? Because we've kind of skipped over. There's a big sort of chunk of your strength career. Like, you competed at the Arnold's. Like, you're a very world-class strongman. Even to get wind beneath the Cricket Stone, we've talked to a lot of people on this podcast. That is one of the most difficult historical stones in the world. So, like, maybe talk us to a bit more, just for people to have some context as to how you were able to even achieve wind with that. What was your strength career like?
So I started competing with Rhiannon Lovelace, where she did all the chaos stuff there. So I was doing a few of the competitions there. And then I'd keep picking different competitions that I thought would suit me as best I can, or within like 2 hours of where I'm based. And I just progressively got stronger, and then I've seen the Arnolds come up, and I thought I would like to try and have a go at the Arnolds to see how that goes. And I come fifth, I think, in my category. It was a novice, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did amazing.
And,
But you'd just been diagnosed at that point. You were poorly. He was
Yeah.
actually ill when he did the Arnolds. So to get the
Wow.
top 5 in his category was pretty impressive. He was really struggling. So Nick's got, obviously he's got 3 tumours. One of his tumours is 12 inches. So he's got a bit of a baby belly going on, you know. It's
power belly.
so obviously with the strongman competitions, a lot of it's here, isn't it? You've got to get things
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
the fact that you even competed, let alone finished top 5 when you were actually poorly.
I enjoyed that competition. It was really good, and we went on a little break to Wales, Black Sands, I think, towards that way.
Yeah.
And that's top the northwestern coastal line. And I knew Cricket was there, and I knew there was a stone there, and I was like, yeah. And I sort of,
He does that. He drops it into the conversation. He's like, "Hey, do you know what? About 5 miles from here, there's a stone." And I'm like, "All right, okay." Well, I sent them an email anyway, and I was like, "Yeah," and he went, "Well, he can meet us tomorrow, you know." I'm like, "Oh, God."
I had none of my lifting gear. I literally just turned up and had a go. Like, but,
He was great. He was lovely, that guy.
yeah,
Wasn't
it
he?
was. I can't remember.
He's like the keeper of the stone.
Yeah,
He's
it's
in
in
a
a cage,
cage.
isn't it? It's like an egg.
Yeah.
No, not that anyone's gonna nick it, like, 'cause it's too heavy.
Yeah.
But,
That's right.
It's in a cage, isn't it? With a really nice sign. You've got the castle in the background. It's pretty awesome.
Mm.
It's a beautiful little village, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely worth a visit.
Worth a visit, even just to look at the stone. It's worth a visit. But
Mm.
the guy that you get in touch with, he's really accommodating, isn't he? He's very
Yeah.
chilled.
Yeah, he is. He lives around the corner. He lifted the stone as well.
Yeah, but to
Oh,
look
really?
at him, you could
Yeah.
lift the stone, would you? And he's like, you don't
go
realise the
for it.
strength of people, do you?
Some people
Just
are
judge how they look.
But he's like a brick. I think he was a bricklayer. So he had like massive hands, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
proper seasoned
proper
man.
strength.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Labor strength. Yeah.
cool guy,
That's
man.
one stone that scares me, to be honest. The cricket,
Everybody.
nothing to do with that
Yeah.
thing, man. That thing is
You couldn't get the
brutal.
grip, could you?
I was
You can't
playing
really
around with it,
stand
and I was trying to maybe use the circumference of my body to sort of pressure the stone.
Yeah.
And in the end, I literally just had to get in like the squat position, cradle the stone, and just lean back as hard as I can and use my body weight. And I sort of interlocked my fingers, I think.
He made a weird sound, which was a bit like childbirth when he lifted that. It was kind of
Yeah, that was
like every last ounce of strength, wasn't it? Kind
Yeah.
of this really weird tribal sound.
Yeah,
came out.
because I thought, yeah, I've lifted the Diddy stones. I'll have this one. This is easy. This is in the bag. No, it wasn't. It was barely in the bag. He was barely in
Liam
the
Brown,
bag.
who was our most recent guest, so I know you both were kind of in contact with in advance of your trip. He's the kind of guy that makes difficult stones look easy. Like, he's new into stone lifting, but he's a strength phenom.
He's unreal.
But the Cricket is the one that he has, another date with destiny, because it's the one stone that's kind of stumped him. He got it to chest, but he likes to get a big full extension, so he's going back to that stone. And across the board, some of the strongest lifters in the world say that the Cricket, that is like the absolute end boss of stone lifting, because it's big and round and smooth. So to get wind under that, man, that's a world-class piece of strength.
He really wanted you to lift it, didn't he? Because he could see that Nick was so close to just getting that wind beneath it. He
Yeah.
was like, "You've got this. You can do it. You've come all this way."
Yeah.
And he kept. You were there for about 45 minutes at the
I
end.
kept
an
having
hour?
good breaks and
Yeah, and he was like, "Come on, I'm not going. I know that you can do this." This guy was amazing, wasn't he? Like, "You can do this. I can see that you can do it. You just need to come on, you need to do it." Then he wrote your name in the book, didn't he? It was good.
Yeah.
I love that they write names in the books of some of the
very
stones.
cool.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
forever. Forever. You can tell your grandchildren, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the Dinny Stones website, because it's loved everybody on there.
Yeah.
You know, in whatever category. I think that's amazing.
That's pretty special.
So like our grandkids can go and look at that in the future, and it will be their history.
Yeah.
You know,
Chloe Brennan just went back, didn't she, to go and lift the stones?
it's good lift as
Amazing.
well.
6 years in the making, complete unassisted lift of the actual Denny stones. Like, what a ceiling shattering relationship she has had with the Dinnies, just because, number one, to do it unassisted, but for someone of her size, like it was just, I remember when David was training to go do the Dinnies, and I'm watching videos because I hadn't really gotten much into Stonelift at that point. I'm watching, I'm going, how is it possible that this person who is, you know, all of 60 something kilos is lifting the Dinny stones? It was just like amazing.
Pretty
She's a
cool.
phenom.
She was lovely about the Stonelifting Honeymoon tour, wasn't she?
she was.
I sent her a message and just said, "Oh, you don't know if you're interested."
She's only down the
She
road.
was like, "Oh
actually.
my god, this is amazing! Right, you need to go here. You need to go here. Right, I'm sharing it." And I was like, "That is so lovely of you. Thank you." She's really nice.
She's in Tamworth. It's probably about 40 minutes from where we are now. I think she's in Tamworth.
Yeah,
she's
not too far.
Should have a lift off. You'll probably beat me.
Yeah,
Strong guy, but she's a yeah. That's
She had Arnold share one of the clips of her picking up the US Dinny stones, I think, one of the competition.
Yeah,
and that went massive. That was such a good lift as well.
She is cool. She's passionate about what she does.
It all comes from like Jan Todd doing her lift with the stones, you know, and proving that women can lift that stone. It doesn't matter who you are, you know. I love that sort of triumph story idea.
Sure,
you know?
sure. We were talking about the time. The stones don't care. They don't care how tall you are, how short you are, how heavy or light you are. They don't care about race, gender, sex, anything like that. It's, can you lift them, yes or no? And if you can't, that's okay. You can come back and try again, right? The stones don't change. It's about you changing in order to meet the challenge of the stones. So
Definitely.
Yeah, it's quite nice actually because it's a non-biased, non-judgmental object. It's kind of like the weights, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll feel validation from when you do lift it, or you'll feel the urge to push yourself further if you don't, you know?
Get better.
Yeah.
I kind of like that with lifting weights and stuff, you know? And stones.
To go back to the honeymoon, because I know, Fee, for you, this was your first time actually doing stone lifting, was in preparation or on the honeymoon. Planning a wedding can be stressful enough as it is, but to plan a wedding and then plan for your first ever stone tour, like what did that training and time management look like for the both of you?
So Nick is military background. I just actually asked him to just be harsh with me. Sometimes I can be quite lazy with my training, so I just said, "Can you do like, you know how you used to train people in the army?" He's like, "Oh, you know what, that version, no." Medium version, wasn't it? And so on days when I was like, I'm really knackered because I've been doing the wedding stuff and I've been working and the kids, and he's like, "You won't be able to lift a stone if you don't put the work in, you know." So just little reminders. You're pretty good, so. And because Nick's got the experience, he knew what I needed to do. So there was one moment where he put more sand in my sandbag and it made me cry, didn't it?
Yeah, you didn't tell her. He had his football sand in the sandbag and kept filling it up.
So
Should be okay.
So I got my sandbag and I was like really confident with this because I was thinking that was the weight of one of the stones. And I was thinking, well, if I can lift this, I think I'm going to be all right, you know? And then I went to lift it, I took it off the thing, it kind of went, oh, dumph. I was like, what's happened to me? Why can't I lift it? And I was going, oh, God, I can't lift it. I was really upset. And I was like crying. He's like, hey, no, it's me. I put more sand in it. I was like, what are you doing to my bag? You know?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, I managed to get it back up again, didn't I?
Yeah,
it was like just adding a little bit without me seeing. But maybe went a little bit over the top, like,
Yeah, I got a bit happy.
Had a bit more. But yeah, I think it's good. It's a stress relief training anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find that if I was stressed with the wedding, which we didn't really get stressed with the wedding, but just little bits and bobs that stress me out, it goes straight into the gym. Or, you know, we've got a really nice, like a runway that's covered if it's raining, and just running with some sandbags or doing a lifting. It's just, everything just goes because you're just focused and you're in that moment. And so wedding goes, work goes, kids go, everything is, you're just in that moment, and we have music on and it's just nice, isn't it? It's just that.
You know the feeling, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a good feeling. It just makes you feel 10 times better.
Yeah.
So was your first stone lift then on the trip, or were you able to get your hands on some stones before the trip?
No, that was my first lift on the trip.
Okay.
On the number 9 stone.
Yeah,
Mine
number
shaft.
9 stones. Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It was amazing because because when I first went to, because you have a feel for the stone, and when I first lifted it, I was like, oh no, that's not what weight.
But you weren't warmed up as
I
well. You
wasn't.
got to remember that.
Yeah, so it's different, isn't it? I was like, oh no. So I think I had a try, didn't I? I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, but it's that support, isn't it? You just go, you can do this. You've got this. You can lift that weight at home. Of course, you can do it. So just have a warm up, have a and then I lifted it, and I think no, the photos are never good when you're lifting a stone because you pull the weirdest faces, don't you?
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, Nick, he was commenting on the noise you made when you were lifting the cricket stone. What about the other way? What did her first lift sound like?
Yeah.
I did make quite
Yeah, it was like like grunts.
Yeah, there was a lot of swearing as well, wasn't there? Because I was like really determined. But I think once I'd lifted the first one, I was like,
confidence.
Oh, I like this. What other ones can we find local that I can do that or groups of stones that you can do the bigger ones, I can do the smaller ones. And I absolutely loved when we went to the one where you put it on
the Wallace stone.
Yeah.
Around there. You know the Wallace stone and the plinths around there? I don't know if you've seen them one.
Tudor Cottage, yeah.
On the ancient plinth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go down like a dirt track and so to lift that one was really beyond. I thought that was beyond me. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. And to get that up and put it on there, that was such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was a really weird face I was pulling on that one as well. That was proper good.
I can imagine. Right.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me share any of the pictures
It's like,
of that.
he said, oh, I've got a really good picture. I was like, you're not putting that picture of me on the internet. No, that's going to be
Nah.
Yeah, but it was freezing cold and raining as well, wasn't it? Which doesn't help, does it? And your hands are freezing and the stones are freezing. But then that just adds to the pressure that you really want to do it then.
I always find it when it rains in Scotland, it's all like mystical and magical. But it rains anywhere else in the world, you sort of, oh, this is pretty miserable, man. But in Scotland, it's amazing.
Cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is. It's really nice.
It's just such a beautiful part of the world. It really is. Just like driving from each location was just a dream, really. It was like the music on and chatting. So if anyone is thinking of having a honeymoon, do a Stonelifting honeymoon because it's amazing. You can go to a beach any time of your life.
Yeah,
You can sit on a beach. You can do anything like that. Like, let's bring in honeymoons that are really cool and fun. And if you don't get on, then, you can just get divorced, can't you? That's a joke.
Nick, the lift of the Inver Stone, a lot of the times when we're planning to do these stone lifting trips and tours and we sort of set this goal of a stone and you kind of build it up to be, a huge moment and you do it and the next day you wake up, and we've talked about this before, and you're like, okay, I'm the same person I was the day before, and now it's on to the next challenge. But in many ways for you, the lifting of that stone demarcated between building up to this lift for you, and then sort of on the backside, you were looking towards treatment and this next battle for you. So was it a joyous moment, or was it a bit bittersweet? Like, what did it feel like when you finally got that stone to shoulder?
I think bittersweet, really. I thought the morning after, it's almost a lot of athletes find that dip when they hit that Mount Everest moment, don't they? That's something that they don't think they can do. And then the next day, like you said, they wake up and they're still the same person and they've still got the normal problems. And my normal problem was just hitting into treatment. But I was happy that it got achieved before. Like, I lost a load of weight and I wouldn't be able to lift the stone, and I'd have to probably take another 2 years to build up that.
Nick's lost a stone since his treatment, and
I lost a stone while I was in hospital.
Yeah,
just under a stone. In those days, I was in hospital.
It's one side effect of the treatment is that he doesn't want to eat, so I'm having to kind of, come on, you need to eat. You've got to eat a bit more. Try and have this. I'm making you like 1,000-calorie milkshakes, just trying to get because you just lose weight so quickly, and of course with that you're losing your strength. And so his next round is tomorrow. Actually, goes for immunotherapy tomorrow, and it's quite scary, isn't it? Because you've seen what the first round did to you.
Yeah,
it's quite a scary place to be because it's like, He's already lost a lot of his strength. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's fighting against it more than probably a normal person going through treatment. For Nick, the weight is such a big thing, and the strength is it's part of who he is, you know, and a part of what he does every day when he's training. But the team are really amazing. He's treated at like one of the best liver teams in the UK, which is the Queen Elizabeth in Birmingham. And his team are amazing. The oncologist is just, he's got the head oncologist wants to take on his case. And he just says to Nick, like, you can still train. A lot of people will probably tell him not to train, but he said, this is who you are. So you've got to keep doing whatever your body can. And on some days you can train and you do all right. But then he'll come in and go, oh, I might not have, should probably not have lifted that much. I feel dreadful. Or
weren't you lifting, squatting 500 pounds? Like right after you got to the hospital, you were squatting 500 pounds?
Yeah, it's like 200 and something kilograms on it, yeah.
That was like,
that
was 5 days. Because he took it literally. So she said, take it easy for a couple of days, right? So that to Nick, that's 2 days. I'm like, no, that's just a saying, isn't it? That's just a saying. Take it easy for a couple of days.
Be on the couch for a couple of days, then get up and walk to the fridge and stuff like that.
So Nick takes that as a couple of days. So a couple's about 2. Okay, I'll take 2 to 3 days off and then I'll go train. And I was like, oh, but I'm not gonna tell him not to do that, because Nick's not daft. He knows he's not going to put himself at risk. But for other people looking at Nick do that kind of squat or do a deadlift, they might look at that and think, well, that's silly, that he's really putting his body through a lot. But that's normal for him. It wouldn't be normal for somebody else. And if that is what has got him here so far, is, you know, even the doctors are all like, we can't believe that you're doing so well with your treatment. You're, you know, you're smashing it, really. You are doing so well. In fact, we've just had. Can I share about your PET scan?
Yeah.
So we just had a PET scan results, which is we've not really told anybody this. It's an exclusive.
There we go. Get the microphone real close, and we'll put some sound effects.
The PET scan result, which shows if there's cancer active anywhere else, is clear. So we've got it in. It's really good. So it's just in his liver.
It's in the isolated liver.
Isolated, which means that it's not as aggressive as they thought. So it's you know, touch wood and all that. We can't.
That's fantastic.
We can't look too far ahead, but it's in a lot better position than Nick was kind of 6 months ago, when they thought this was just going to be giving him time. We're now looking at that this could be, actually, we could get rid of this. We're in a really good place, but it's still, we don't know. It's really hard, because you just want answers, but they haven't got the answers, because they don't know, and they won't know until he's finished this round of immunotherapy. So then you have more scans, and then there's another biopsy.
That's fun.
But we both have like a good feeling, but I don't know if that's just because we're positive and we're always optimistic, positive. I don't know if that's, you know, because then some people say, oh, you know, try not to get too positive. Try and think of, you know, we all know what cancer can do, but we don't want to get into that mindset.
No, you don't want to dwell on that.
That's just not a good place to be.
No, it's not.
No, and he owes me 50 years of marriage anyway. We've already discussed this 2 weeks ago when he was on
the contract, right? Yeah, exactly.
Contract. Otherwise, I'll sell all his Hulk Hogan figures to the figure.
Wrestling figure collection going to get sold.
That's awesome that you have that.
He has a weird obsession with Hulk Hogan. The gym.
He's the man. I get it.
Hulk Hogan. You know how off-putting that is when you're training and a Hulk Hogan's watching you. It's like, you know.
I think that would fire me up. I don't think there's anything weird about that at all.
There's loads of miniatures as well, so there's all figures and posters, and I'm just like, oh, hi Hulk.
Being watched by a million faces.
Try to drop the deadlift bar hard enough to knock one off the shelf or something.
Yeah. Get 10 points for
that. I want to just pause and I mean, Nick, and commend you, because, you know, the kinds of subjects we're talking about, you know, they're they're terrifying for an average person, but you seem to be able to just push through this and discuss it openly, and you as well, Fee, with a smile, which is just like it's almost startling to see, because it's not the typical scenario how when you hear people are battling these kinds of things, they shell up and they keep it to themselves, and it sort of becomes this internal struggle. But for you to be able to speak about it and smile and joke, like, is that mental resilience something you think is attributable to the numerous battles and phases of rebuilding that you've been through in your life, or has that always sort of been a part of who you are, that you can kind of just grit your teeth and walk through these difficult situations?
I think combination of both, really. I think it's what life experiences we've had, before we met each other.
We both had quite a lot of troubles in our lives before we met each other, actually.
Right.
Yeah, and I had a very bad childhood, and we both were in awful marriages, awful toxic marriages. Like, obviously out of respect for our ex-partners, I think that's all we'll say. People can work it out.
Yeah, you didn't listen to this.
Yeah, when lawsuits and all that. But I think we were both at that when we met, that we didn't want a relationship again. We'd both been with our previous partners for kind of 20 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And we were friends for a long time first, and then just it kind of developed from there.
I think that's why we're so resilient with things.
Yeah, and I think when you've had I think everyone's had tough times, but I think Nick and I both had quite a lot of tough things happen in our lives. And I think when something good happens, which is, finding each other, you kind of do face things a little bit more positive. I think it's just having that support. I think if you've got good friends, we have got a really good friends, haven't we? Good family. And this whole community, if you've got that behind you, it just makes you feel positive.
I think it's good, the fact that when we do have these, everyone has these days when they're absolutely on their arse, let's say, and they don't want a human, they don't want to be an adult, they just want to feel sorry for themselves, and that's okay. But after about 2 days, we sort of snap each other out of it, don't we? It's
Come on. We do say that as well. We're not.
You've had your time to dwell now, on whatever subject. It's time to
kind of
just move
tag team,
on.
don't we? We'll, Nick will have a down day, and then I'm there, or I'll have a down day, and he's there, and we're like, right, that's it, that's done. We get bad news from the doctors, and we go, well, that's really, really shit, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're going to face that, and I don't like what we've just been told, but okay. And we'll have a moment, won't we? And we will be. I mean, we're not like robots. We do cry. We do have days, and we will share. Like, we've had some really crap news today, and but then the next day, it's okay. That's done. Now we move forward with the information we've got. Let's do what we can to keep going. And I think we want to share that because we want to show people that life is a roller coaster, isn't it? It's always up and down. But to get from the down, you've got to force yourself sometimes to get up. You have to keep going, because life is short.
It's not worth it.
It's you're wasting time if you're sitting there dwelling and thinking, oh, well, why me, or what if, or you're just wasting time. You could be out there doing amazing things. And like for us, that is traveling around and lifting stones, or going on adventures to spooky destinations. We like to go on, a little bit of ghost hunting. I don't really believe in ghosts, but it's kind of that little fun thing we do in the van, isn't it? We go and find old historic buildings, and we watch YouTube stuff about ghosts and hauntings and stuff. You love it, don't you?
Yeah.
But just do stuff that you love, and it doesn't matter what other people say. Even like the stone lifting, some of my mates are like, "What are you doing? That's really weird." I'm like, "Yeah, but I love it. I love it," and I think that's the key to life, isn't it? Do what makes you happy, and there's going to be obstacles in your way all the time, but you have that moment, have that down day, and then step over that obstacle, carry on, keep going.
Yeah. Don't worry about, I say to you, don't worry about that comet that's going to hit Earth, because there's no point for worrying about it. And I sort of use that as a metaphor for it, you know. Don't worry about something you can't control. Just crack on.
Yeah.
Have a nice time if you can.
See, nobody knows what's around the corner. And like, you know, I think that's when we both went through awful breakups, we were both in really dark places. And who knew that round the corner we were going to meet each other and form this amazing friendship that then developed into something even better and amazing. And, you know, my two, who are teenagers now, just adore Nick, and their speech at our wedding was just wonderful. And he basically made everyone cry, saying he's the dad we've always wanted. You know, he's an incredible man. And whole room was one of our friends was going, make it stop.
Make it stop.
Teenagers don't say that stuff, do they? Unless it's true.
No, not lightly is right. Yeah,
they're pretty hardcore. They don't share. They don't overshare, and they adore Nick, and we feel incredibly lucky to have Nick in our lives. And yeah, so you have to keep going because you don't know what's around the corner. Your whole life can change in an instant, and even if it changes in a negative way, hang on in there, because just around the corner something good is going to happen. Yeah like lifting stones.
It makes a lot of sense to me that you were friends before you started going on dates, because I think if you were new to each other and you put Stoneland on a second date, this is what we're doing. It may not have gone so well. So the friendship before, I'm like, okay, there we go. That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, we did.
But we're so similar, but we like different stuff, don't we? Like, but then we like the same stuff as well. But like, I there's some of my stuff that you're just like, okay, that's a bit weird. And I'm like, that's a bit weird. Hulk Hogan. But you know, but it's just, I think that's good. It's good to have that. I think if we both liked absolutely everything that the other one liked, that just, I don't think that would work. I think it's nice that you've got your own quirks. But the stone lifting thing is lovely. I think it's that the history behind it, and watching people, you know, watching the videos, especially on Instagram, and you're watching people lift stuff. You're like, how are they doing that? How are they getting that up there? That's
strong.
Insane, isn't it? We'll kind of be sitting in bed, and I'll be going, "Have you seen this?" He's like, "Yeah, have you seen this?" Like, wow. He's like, "I want to go up that one." I was like, "Wow." You know, it is amazing what the human body can do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think that proves, like, even with what you're going through, like you're battling cancer, you got heart failure as well. Add that into the mix, and you're on immunotherapy, which just completely shreds your body, and you can still manage to go, because you lifted one 2 weeks after your first immunotherapy. That was before you got sick.
Oh yeah,
you lifted that other stone. Where did we go?
I can't remember. I know it's for the.
It was in memory of somebody, wasn't it?
The memory stone.
It's like the Peak District.
Peak District.
The Peak District. There was a stone or something put down in memory of this guy.
Yeah.
And it's just there, like you can just go for a little walk and go and lift it. And you lifted that, didn't you? Just said, I feel so weak at the minute. I feel so awful. Do you know what would cheer me up if I went and lifted this stone? I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. I think if you see somebody that you love going through something awful, and if that's going to make him happy, then we can go. And if you can't lift it up, and that's what I said to you. Didn't I say you might not be able to lift this?
It's not going anywhere.
And you can go back when you're feeling better. But if you want to go and try it, well, of course he did lift it, didn't you? To your shoulder, didn't you? And he's like, yeah,
back in
the game. But he knows, he knows as the treatment progresses, he's gonna lose the weight and lose the strength. So sometimes not going to be able to lift some of the stones.
I felt like some of my grit's gone. I feel like that's how I feel. I was saying to Fee the other day when I was training. You have that grit that pushes you through that moment where you don't know if you're going to be able to lift something. And I felt like some of that had been depleted. I really felt like it. And whether that was placebo or not, I'm not sure. But I certainly have felt like the 300 I pulled the other day on the deadlift, that felt awful. That did not go up very well. It felt so so heavy compared to the way I've lifted 300 before.
That might have had something to do with the fact that a week earlier you almost died, though. You know, that might have had something to do with
Excuses.
Give yourself some credit. Give yourself a bit.
But I do feel like my grit's gone.
Yeah. And it's that reassurance, isn't it? Like, I'll have to reassure you, it's like, this is just temporary.
Yeah, it is.
Feel ill. And it's okay to feel ill. It's okay to feel weak. Just go with it and ride with it, because there are days when you struggle to get out of bed. There are days when you are absolutely and you were going to train tonight, and I was like, I'm not going to train tonight. He's like, I might not train tonight. And I'm like, that's a good call.
We literally just got back from the hospital and then had to.
Yeah, because we're unfortunately, because he's under Birmingham and we're in Stafford, it's about an hour and a half drive. But when you're having treatment, you have to have your bloods taken the day before. So we then have to do the hour and a half drive for a 2-minute blood test, drive all the way back, then you get caught in all the Birmingham traffic.
But
that just wipes Nick out. That does, because it's such a basic thing, but because you're being prodded and poked, and then traffic, and then you get home and it's like, I was going to train, but I don't feel up to it. Well, then don't. Just what your body says.
Yeah. Back in tomorrow before treatment.
Yeah, he's going to train tomorrow because he knows when he has his immunotherapy, he's not allowed to exercise for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So he's planned getting up early in the morning to do a session.
All right.
Yeah.
You got to be more fair to yourself. The grit's not gone. It's just sort of repurposing itself. It's going to be there for you while you're going through this treatment. Maybe not so much on the bar, but in another aspect of your life. Because when you've built the level of grit you have up over your life, that doesn't just disappear in a day.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it, actually. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Fighting the other
one
battle.
question for you, Nick. Coming from coming from a strongman background like yourself, and at the level that you're at, how did you find that strength carried over to stones, or did you kind of find it its own separate category? Because we've kind of seen it from both sides with different athletes, where some athletes have found their strongman background carries over greatly, and others it's kind of like hitting the reset button on their entire strength training because stones are such a different element. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think that the strongman gave me a foundation, but when I went over to doing the stones, I certainly had to I'd say reset, almost a reset of thinking, well, picking up even just a sandbag, picking up like a sandbag that's, I don't know, 100 kilograms, certainly doesn't feel like kilograms, that's on a deadlift. So it's almost the same sort of thing. You pick up a 100 kilogram rock or stone, it certainly doesn't feel like a calibrated plate that's on a deadlift bar. It's a completely different ball game, because it's not, it weighs more on the other side. You've got to fight with it more. You've got to press into your body more. I feel like that it's good to have a foundation of a strongman, but then when you pick up a stone, that's when you need to start looking at doing more grip strength, I think, maybe, and doing more of those lever type mechanisms in your hands and just literally pulling things. Like what we were training pulls, weren't we?
Yeah.
Literally just picking the stone up just to strengthen the muscles in your hands and your grip and stuff like that, It's quite old school, really. I like it.
Yeah, it's old world strength, right? It's
the oldest of schools, you could say.
Yeah. Oh, it really is. It's just a different animal.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why, with like you mentioned before about these Scottish guys so long ago are lifting stones that they shouldn't have been able to. Well, it was just a different world back then. Like before we went to Scotland, I had it in my head, this is before I'd ever touched a historical stone, and I kind of had it in my head where I was like, yeah, this is a chance to kind of compete with the guys of the past and see if I was as strong as the Fianna Warrior and all that. And that was, that point of view has changed over the years. Well, instantly on that trip, but our uncle had made a comment and said, well, it's not really fair. Like they didn't know about nutrition and you guys are all in the gym now and all that stuff. And I'd kind of said to him, like, if you had two guys, one worked out in the gym 8 hours a week, another guy worked in a field with his hands lifting rocks 8 hours a day, which guy would you want on your side? And I know I would pick the guy lifting stones 8 hours a day. It's a different type of strength, right? Yeah. And it's that old world strength. It's the tendon strength. It's the body awareness, the proprioception. It's a whole different thing. And I think for me, that's why I've been drawn into stone lifting as much as I have, is it's just a totally unique thing that is very difficult to describe to people if you've never done it before.
Well, to your point, Nick, too, you were saying at the Cricket Stone, the gentleman who's overseeing the lifts at the Cricket Stone, you said he did unassuming looking, but a bricklayer, and he's able to get wind under that thing. Like, that's ridiculous.
He's like a bricklayer. He's got like a manual trade, and
big hands.
He had massive hands, and I shook his hand, and he had a really good handshake, and I thought,
sure.
He's got such a great, and when he told me he lifted it up, I had no doubts in the fact he could lift it up. Yeah. It's like Brett Nicol. He picks up the Dinny stones like they're literally nothing. Oh, yeah.
He just job like
he's a tree surgeon. He's outside. He's constantly grafting his outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good lad, Brett. Really like.
Brett's
he's a very good guy.
Yeah.
He's always
a great man.
He's a really great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good lad. I like him a lot.
A question for you, Fee, on this side. I know, you had mentioned that, your childhood wasn't the greatest, but now you found yourself as a child psychologist and you work with families. He probably won't mind me sharing. I was having an interesting conversation with a guy named Mark Johnson. He's a lifter out of the United States. Really, really great guy. Part of the New England Stonelifting crew. And we were talking, I was showing him a couple of my gym implements. And he's like, oh, well, I've got kind of one of everything for every occasion. He's got this unbelievable array of loading pins and tools. And he's like, yeah, but just don't tell my kid, because that's where his inheritance is gone. And I said to him, I was like, you know what, though? You're giving him the best inheritance. Seeing a parent who prioritizes physical challenges, strength, grit, determination, likes to go on adventures, on student tours. Like, that's such a great thing to show our children. And we were lucky enough to have parents that instilled those values in us that we're trying to instill in our parents. How has your venture into strength training and now going on, stonelifting adventures, has that influenced or informed at all how you do help children or families or individuals who are struggling?
Yeah, so one of the main questions I get from families is they compare themselves to other families on the internet, and kind of the internet could be a very dark place if you're a parent, because comparison is a thief of joy, isn't it? You think you're doing a good job, and then you see this perfect mom or dad in their perfect house, and I always say that's just a tiny little corner of the internet, and if you look at the rest of the house, it's probably an absolute state.
The performance.
Getting out and about with your kids is the best thing you can do as a parent, to get out in nature, to just, even if you can just spend that hour a day together, going for a walk, doing stuff. And especially as they get older, the teenagers just want to lock themselves away. They've got their own friends. They're forever online. And our son has just started joining us in the garden, in the gym, doing some lifting. And he kind of, I used to say to them, I can lift this. And, because we always have it's one of the things, we always have dinner together. That's really important. And we all chat together around the dinner table. And I'd be like, I pulled this today. And they're like, oh, that's great, Mum. Yeah, that's good. And, Nick's lifted this. Oh, yeah, well done, Nick.
Got no concept.
They don't really understand it. So since kind of probably the last 3 months, Oz has been coming out in the garden and doing a bit of log training. And he's like, oh my God, Mum, how do you lift this? And I'm like, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Now you get it.
Yeah. He's like, what the? I'm like, there you go. And to have that kind of him look at me that way and him go, well, I want to lift that. And I'm like, you can, but we'll build up to it. And so that admiration that he has for us in that way, and then him getting into it, like, I want to do that. I want to be strong like that. I want to be able to do it. And he's doing really well. He's actually got real talent for it, hasn't he? And and the same with the kind of weird, spooky adventures that we go on. We hear that there's a building that's haunted, like an old church, and we'll say, we're going on this trip. Do you want to come? Oh yeah, he wants to go, doesn't he? And he's really excited about it. He's loving it. And kind of that determination. And even, Betsy, she's starting to think, I'd like to go to the gym. I think I'd like to get involved in all of this kind of stuff. And I think if you don't push things onto them and just let them be naturally curious, but try and encourage them. Like when we go on holiday together, we always say to them, you've got your time for yourself, but also we have to have that time as a family to connect, to chat, always having time around the table to eat, because we do live in a time now where everyone is just, you can just get sapped into your phone, and I think adults are really guilty of that.
Oh, for sure.
And it's quite hard, and I just think you can suddenly lose 2 hours, can't you, because you've been scrolling through the internet. So it's very hard to tell kids not to do it. So to that kind of encouraging families, that is one of my big things, always encourage families to just get outside, even because when the weather's really bad as well, it's such an easy thing, isn't it, to say, oh well, it's a bit cold, it's raining, let's just stay inside and stay on our screens, stay on our phones. But if you just have that, I think everybody benefits from that, just having that half an hour walk together. Or
we're meant to be outside though, aren't we?
Yeah. You love being outside, and you took Oscar camping, haven't you? And he had the time of his life. You just loved it, and it was just really basic. You know, you just going camping, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a fortune for your kids to enjoy an activity. And it's just, as the older they get, it is hard to get them to come and do stuff. But it's so important, because there will be a time when they just won't, you know, as they get 17, 18, 19, got their own lives. So
they'll come back.
they do, yeah.
When they've got their own family.
Just have that time. And we have a good laugh with them, don't we? But to not overdo it, not like overkill, just asking for half an hour of the time will often turn into an hour to 2 hours, you know, without forcing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Something that I'm hoping that my boys kind of see and take away from my foray into stone lifting is less, you know, it's important being and feeling strong. You definitely get a sense of self-worth from that. And like, it's kind of interesting. My littlest guy too, who's, you know, he's a pretty rough and tumble little guy. We'll be watching TV together. And like the other day we were watching like a baking show or something. There was this tattooed guy and he goes, "Dad, he's probably only half sturker." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right, buddy. Dad's strong." But, for me, the thing I really want them to hold on to is that sense of adventure. That's something that I find that as you get into teen years, especially, you know, it's not something that we really contended much growing up because technology wasn't everywhere, but kids are losing that sense of adventure. So just by nature of them seeing, you know, Dad and Uncle Davey are going to Iceland and they're going to go drive around in this dinky little car and go lift stones. And, you know, we're walking the valley bottom of Thackgill in our bare feet. And I'm thinking, hey, we're taking the ring to Mordor. I wonder if David, Sam, or Frodo, which one am I? Like, just get out there and adventure. And it's okay to do that as an adult. And stone lifting provides the avenue for you to do that. And it's just something I hope they realize, like, keep that childhood sense of wonder, because it'll serve you well as an adult, just to get you out of the house. So
Definitely. And the kids loved our honeymoon tour, didn't they? They were watching all the videos, and Oscar was like, "Your videos are like a little documentary, Mum. They're dead cool." I was like, yeah. A 15-year-old teenager telling us we're cool. That's peak parent.
Yeah, quite decent, I think. Like that.
Yeah, that's cool for a minute. That's cool. To be told you're cool, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for giving us your time and your energy, especially right now when you have so much going on to talk about everything going on in your life.
Just back in the car from doing your blood test, knowing that you're staring down another treatment tomorrow, to carve out the time to chat with us and the folks listening like that. That's huge. That's a pretty important time commitment when your time is so limited right now to do hobbies and things like that. So
no, we appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah, we do. And I think before we go, I think I'd just like to say a big thanks to the stone lifting community from our tour of Scotland, because we had incredible support and we learned a lot of lessons, and people were really kind, and it's encouraged us to keep going, do more.
That's nice to hear. Before we drop off, something that is really important to also to highlight is that your honeymoon wasn't just sort of you know, you two go on this incredible adventure, but it was in support of a great cause, combat stress, which I know, Nick, is something that you're a huge advocate for. So if you wouldn't mind maybe just telling people a bit about what that charity is, so that if they're so inclined, they can also go and support.
Yeah, of course. So Combat Stress is a charity that was formed off the back of Afghanistan, the Optelic conflict, and it was to basically support the military veterans that suffer with their mental health. So I did have a lot of demons that I had to sort of deal with after Afghan, the 3 Afghan tours I did. So when I left the army, before I started the strongman stuff, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, and all that means is that you've been exposed to a lot more situations that can cause trauma. And because of being on the front line, you know, your mates and all that getting shot or blown up and the contacts and stuff like that, it can cause a lot of trauma. So I struggled a lot with my sleep. So sleep was such a big thing for me. I couldn't sleep. And I'd be taking medication to sleep, but then that would make me groggy in the day. I'd be kicking out in my
night terrors.
A lot of night terrors. And I mean, these were awful night terrors. I'd wake up sweating. I didn't have any flashbacks in the daytime. It was predominantly based on sleep issues. So Fee encouraged me to approach combat stress, so I did. And all I can say is that they've been absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely amazing.
Really accommodating in all senses with myself. Even when I got so frustrated with my therapist in the first session, she could have just said, I don't want to work with that man anymore. He's not right for this. But she didn't. She persevered, and then I built a really great relationship with her. And in the end, she got quite upset that she was ending the therapy. You know,
but they're very incredible, and they just rely on donations. So that's why we wanted to do it. We wanted to say thank you, and we ended up raising over £2,500 for them,
which was amazing. And
so that will
helps,
put quite a few veterans through a course of therapy. So we're pretty pleased with that.
And I'm still under them now, you know. It's just that the cancer stuff took priority with it. So, So basically, once the cancer stuff's hopefully in a good place, then I'll continue.
Carry on some therapy.
They do check in, don't they?
They're really good.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's incredible.
Yeah, you two are just wonderful rays of sunshine, regardless of how much you've had to move through and continue to move through in this world. And we're going to make a commitment. We want to hear it back from you, both of you. When you're healthy and you've gone to Iceland and you've smashed a lift of the Husafell and any of the other stones that you want to lift there, you got to come back on so we can chat about it.
Happy days. Yeah,
we will. We will. Thank you for your support and thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please be so kind as to leave the show a review and then follow us over on Instagram at stonesofstrength_podcast.